What does a 34-year-old case and the Bryan-Kohlberger trial have in common? A lot more than you think, so let's talk about it. Just want to focus on a couple of high spots here. If you want further details, there's plenty of information out there on this, but this particular incident with the Menendez brothers started in 1989, and it is still going on today. Now, the prosecution at that time painted the picture that these were entitled, rich, spoiled kids. They were afforded every opportunity in life, but greed got the best of them. And of course, the media and the public, always looking for the villain, jumped right on board and towed the line. Every story, every article, and almost every interview was painting that same picture. Saturday Night Live would go on to do skits mocking the brothers for their testimony at the trial. Now, the defense had claimed at that time, and to this day, that the brothers were abused physically and mentally in all ways you can imagine. And it even led to a mistrial during the first one. Now, because of public pressure and skewed media bias and several high-profile losses that the DA had faced, when they went through the second trial, the judge excluded all evidence about the abuse and even removed the cameras. But the media was still running wild with it, painting that same picture. It would ultimately lead to the brothers being sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And there was no public support because of the media coverage to force this case back into trial. It is worth mentioning that thanks to Roy Rosselló and a letter found by family members, that the defense's stance that this was self-defense has been validated. Back to the rest of the story. Now, Lady Justice is supposed to be blindfolded because appearances and outside influences aren't supposed to guide the decision. That's what happened to the Menendez brothers. So where is the justice in that trial? And I can hear what you're saying right now. What does this have to do with Bryan-Kohlberger? Totally separate case, decades ago. Well, look at the media coverage. Look at the vast majority of content on YouTube. Now, you can't get on national TV or on here stating allegedly he didn't do it, but then go on a 15 to 30 minute rant on how he did it. There is a very real possibility that the way this coverage is being handled, you're giving Bryan-Kohlberger a leg to stand on if you think he did it. And here's what I'm talking about. Let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, everybody believes Bryan-Kohlberger did it. We're going to disregard the affidavit and disregard all the little oddities a lot of us are seeing. And he did it, 100%. Do you think he doesn't have a leg to stand on for some type of unfair judicial process? Biased jury pools? I do. So if we are wanting justice for the 4 victims and for the families, which I do believe that is what we all want, that is the one common thread here, regardless if we think he did it or didn't do it. But if we're wanting justice for all those people, he's got to have a fair trial. Evidence pertinent to the investigation needs to be given to the defense. There shouldn't be 200 to 300 videos demonizing his defense for wanting training records, or trying to say it's a defensive ploy to state that one of the officers is under investigation. She wasn't making that up. Now, if we truly want justice here, we've got to stop tearing down absolutely everything the defense is doing, and we've got to stop acting like everything the prosecution is doing is perfectly right. People are fallible. It should be okay to ask questions. It should be okay to raise issues during a trial. Not everybody should be demonizing Bryankohberger at this time. We don't need to, as a society, in a scenario where we all believe he did it, give him the ammunition to file some sort of unfair judicial process claim and end up walking away. True justice should not take 34 years. And we may not receive true justice for this particular case if we don't watch how we're covering it. I personally believe all these videos and all these interviews are nonsense. When it says anonymous source, I ain't buying it. Yes, I've got questions about the cell phone pings. I also have questions about that timeline that they're giving. I have questions about the statement that was given to police by Dylan Mortensen. But I get on here raising these questions and stating basic constitutional rights, and there's a lot of people who disagree with that. True justice is blindfolded, people. The trial should be fair. The trial should be transparent. And any evidence pertaining to this case should be allowed in court. Any records pertaining to the people who led to the arrest should be allowed in court. Because if the facts are the facts and everybody's doing things the right way, it should not be a problem. So what are your thoughts with this? Are you seeing the same similarities that I see between the coverage then and the coverage now? And do you think this is something that we as a society should be worried about? Do you think that this skewed media coverage gives Bryankohberger a leg to stand on for an appeal? I'm very curious about your thoughts with this. If the Menendez brothers case is something y'all are interested in hearing me speak on, just let me know down in the comments below. But it's going to take a whole lot of likes and a whole lot of subscriptions, because the 2 hours a day I've been spending on this for the past couple weeks is already melting my brain. But other than that, look, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. Let me know down below what you think about all this. Other than that, y'all have a good one.